Hi, I'm Red, and today we're going to go over the Oracle Holy Priest Mythic Plus guide. Oracle has been buffed twice since the release of the patch, and 40% of priests are using Oracle so far. About myself, I've gotten 3.6k rating in the past as a Holy Priest, and this season I'm at 3.3k rating, and I'm the rank 6 Holy Priest in the world. If you're looking for a Holy Priest guide that goes over all the abilities and the talents, I would suggest you go to my in-depth Holy Priest guide, and that guide will go over uh, the talents, it'll go over the core abilities, it'll go over a lot of things. The strengths of Oracle. Number one, it has stronger rotational spells. Your Prayer of Mending is like 50% stronger than an Archon. Number two, you have stronger AoE healing, and you have access to a spell called Premonition of Piety. And AoE healing is one of Holy Priest's biggest weaknesses. Number three, you have a 15% damage reduction and a shield with Premonition of Solace. Number four, you have higher priority target damage with Holy Fire increased damage, and you can cast 4 Holy Fires in a row with Premonition of Insight. And fifth, you have a movement speed buff that gives 40% movement speed every time you cast Prayer of Mending. So let's go into the game and look at those two talents. So Body and Soul gives 40% increased movement speed, and Preventive Measures gives 40% Prayer of Mending healing and 40% Smite and Holy Fire damage. Archon strengths. So Archon gets 5% increased max health. Second is they have better CC with double Fear Bombs. So every time you cast Psychic Scream, you get a second Psychic Scream for free 4 seconds after your initial Psychic Scream cast. So what you can do is you can cast Psychic Scream like 3 seconds before damage comes out. A second after the AoE damage comes, you'll use a second Psychic Scream, which will interrupt the cast of the mobs, and that'll allow you to not have to heal the extra cast just because of Psychic Scream. Third and fourth are basically tied together. You get better movement healing and you get better mana management because you have a proc called Surge of Light, and this proc just makes your next flash heal free and instant. And every time you use a halo and your halo comes back to you, you get an extra Surge of Light proc. And the last benefit to Archon is you get more damage, because Halo does a lot of damage, and it should be about 25% of your overall. Now let's go over Oracle filler spells. So first you have Holy Spells, and you should kind of treat these as a cooldown, but they are also kind of a rotational spell. Whenever somebody's below 60% health, that's a good time to use a Holy Word, either your Holy Word Serenity or your Holy Word Sanctify, and that should top them back up. If people are really healthy, or 80% health, something like that, then you want to use Prayer of Mending on cooldown. And Prayer of Mending is so powerful that you really, really, really want to be using Prayer of Mending on cooldown. Third is if people are below 70% health, you want to be using Flash Heal and Heal to get them back up. Fourth is you want to use Renew on cooldown, and that's also going to help get your Holy Words Sanctify back off cooldown. And it also provides a buff that gives you 10% increased healing on your allies because they have Renew active. Fifth, if your Holy Words are on cooldown, you really want to try to get at least one Holy Word back. So let's go into the game. Let's say I cast Holy Word, Holy Word, Holy Word, Holy Word. So right now, my Holy Words are on cooldown, my Renew's on cooldown. What should I be doing? I should be casting Flash Heal a couple times, cast a heal, a Flash Heal. Now my Holy Word's off cooldown, and it's a good time to start doing damage. And sixth is just do damage with your Chastise, Holy Fire, Holy Nova, or Smite. Next I want to talk about the Premonition cycle. So Premonition is an ability that cycles between 4 different spells. The first spell is called Premonition of Insight. That spell gives you 4 casts of Prayer of Mending or 4 casts of Holy Fire in a row. Second is called Premonition of Piety. This spell causes either 70% or 90% of your overhealing to be replicated on everyone in the group. The third is called Premonition of Solace. This spell gives a 15% damage reduction and it provides a very large absorb onto the person who you cast it on. So most of the time you're probably going to pair Premonition of Piety with Premonition of Insight, or Premonition of Solace rather. And what that does, it allows you to have that shield and that damage reduction on yourself so that you maintain max health and you can be doing overhealing, which is going to be splashing onto the whole group. And last is Premonition of Solace. This spell just casts all 3 of them at the same time. So I have a Weakaura that's going to be linked in the description, and if you look at the one on the right here, it has cooldown reduction with a white circle on it, which that indicates it's the one that's active and it's ready to use, and Overheal is the next one. I took this Weakaura from Wago and I did a little bit of editing to it so that it fit what I wanted. I wanted to be able to see what's next, and I wanted that little white circle to indicate it's ready. Now let's talk about Premonition of Insight. You can either use it on Holy Fire for damage, or you can use it on Prayer of Mending for healing. You're going to really just have to make a judgment call. Do I need more healing here? Do I need more damage here? And then make a decision what to use it on in that situation. Next is Premonition of Solace. I think you should try to use this on the tank a lot of the time because tanks on higher level dungeons, they need an external in order to live because they'll be fighting like 10 or 15 mobs at a time. And that's a lot of damage on them. So either you're going to have to be casting heals and flash heals on them to keep them alive, or if you put Premonition of Solace on them, then they'll be able to hopefully take care of themselves. Second is to use it as a piety helper. We talked about this, but you use Premonition of Piety and then use Premonition of Solace and then cast a heal on yourself so you'll get that shield and that'll allow you to stay topped for longer and you'll be able to do more overhealing, which will translate into more healing on the whole group. And finally, the way that I usually proc this is I use heal on myself to apply this effect. There's a spell here called Waste No Time. When you use Premonition, your next heal or prayer of healing is going to be instant. So let's say I use Premonition of it's Insight right now, but let's say I use Premonition of Solace. I'd cast heal on myself, and that would give myself the shield and allow me to continue overhealing. So I kind of developed a rotation for Premonition of Piety. It's not a direct rotation, but it is pretty good. So before you use Premonition of Piety, you want to try to get Renew on yourself, and you want to try to get Prayer of Mending on cooldown. If you do those two things, they will both be on cooldown, and you can see during the rest of the rotation, there is no Prayer of Mending or Renew. So if they're on cooldown, you won't be missing a cast. Whereas if you go directly into Premonition, you might miss a cast of Prayer of Mending. So the next thing you do is you pop Premonition of Piety, and in some cases you'll pop Guardian Spirit on yourself. If there's very, very heavy damage incoming, you'll add the Guardian Spirit to yourself. If you think you can get by without it, do your best to do so because you want to be able to have that Guardian Spirit for the tank if they get in trouble. So that's followed by a heal, followed by a Holy Word Serenity, and I personally like to save my Premonition of Solace for after the first two casts of the abilities, because what that does is it gives you a little bit of buffer to get retopped. So you'll put the Solace on yourself, use a heal, and then you have a couple casts to get retopped and catch back up. And what that allows you to do, instead of you having effective healing on Premonition of Piety for, let's say, 5 seconds or 7 seconds, you'll have effective healing with Premonition of Piety for maybe 8, 9, even 11 seconds, where you'll be staying topped and you'll still be able to heal the group. After you've used both of your blue holy words, then you'll go into your next holy word, which is the yellow holy word. And that holy word, you really should try to use it to catch up. Like, say that you're at 60% health, then you can use yellow holy word, heal everybody in the group, and even if you're not overhealing, it's still going to be effective healing. And by the time you use your first or second yellow holy word, you're going to be falling behind. So if you're at 60% and you try to heal yourself up and do piety healing, it's not going to work. You're just going to be using all that healing on yourself, and it's not going to go into overhealing. So at this point, you're probably going to need to start casting these heals and flash heals on other people in the group who are low, like 20% low. And that'll allow them to last for the last 4 or 5 seconds of the damage event, because most AoE damage this season lasts 8 to 12 seconds. There's not many damage events that last longer than 12 seconds. The second way to use Premonition is as a recovery cooldown. So let's say that your group all drops to 20%. Say you're in Cinderbrew Meadery and one of those bombs explodes, drops everyone very, very low. You're in big, big trouble. So what are you going to do? Well, you cast Premonition of Piety, Guardian Spirit, Premonition of Solace on yourself, and you'll pop a health potion if it's an extremely dire situation. If not, you can probably get by just using a heal on yourself, a Serenity on yourself, and then a heal on yourself. And what that'll do, that'll top the group within about 3 seconds, and it's a very, very powerful recovery cooldown. After that, you can kind of go into your regular premonition cycle where you're just casting heal, flash heal, holy word, heal, flash heal, holy word, you know. And at the bottom here, I have you should use Prayer of Mending if you have a free global and people are topped. So let's say you're going through your rotation, you get to maybe this point in the rotation, and people are all topped. So instead of casting a Holy Word Serenity on yourself, doing overhealing on yourself and the whole party, you can cast a Prayer of Mending in here, and then the damage will happen during that Prayer of Mending. You can use your Serenity and top yourself, do some overhealing, heal everyone else, then go into heal, and so forth. So I called Premonition of Piety a rotation, but it's not really a rotation. There are some kind of conditional casts, and I'm going to go over those now. We just talked about the conditions for using a health potion, or you can also use a Warlock Health Stone to, if you're in dire circumstances, you need to get back up to full health so you can start doing premonition healing. Second is the Holy Word Sanctify rule. I try to wait until people are kind of low to use Holy Word Sanctify, but you know, this is not a hard and fast rule. If you want to use Holy Word Sanctify after a heal so that your next heal is empowered, go for it. You don't necessarily have to save it for when you are running low and you're trying to recover, but I do like to try to save one of my yellow Holy Words for after I'm unable to do Piety healing because I've dropped too low. Third is Renew. You really want to try to make sure you have Renew on yourself during your premonition window because that's going to increase your healing by 10%, and it's also going to be doing some healing on yourself, so you'll be able to stay topped easier. So if you go into Premonition and you forgot to use Renew, if you do have a free global, people are like relatively close to full health, you can use a global to give Renew to yourself and then go back to using Heal, Flash Heal, Holy Words on yourself. And then Premonition of Solace, you want to try to usually pair it with Premonition of Piety, and I talked about how I like to save it for one or two globals, but you really can activate it on yourself right when you use Piety so you don't have to think about it. You know, it's really nice to have it as a recovery mechanism a couple seconds into the damage. And then last is Guardian Spirit. Do your best to save either Guardian Spirit or Solace for the tank. One of those two should probably be used on the tank almost every single pull of the dungeon, because tanks do need help, and your job as the healer is to help the tank. Next I want to go over the macros that make Oracle easy mode. So I would recommend many players should macro Prayer of Mending into Insight. When you're learning the spec, it's pretty good to just be using Insight on Prayer of Mending. Don't try to min-max so hard with your damage that you end up leaving Insight on cooldown for so long that you're wasting casts. It's much better to be using Insight with Prayer of Mending and get it on cooldown so that it's on cooldown, so that allows you to regenerate your Premonition of Piety and your Premonition of Insight. Because if you have Insight on cooldown and then you wait enough time, you'll have Premonition of Piety and Premonition of Solace, and that's really what you want to pair together. The third macro applies Premonition of Solace anytime you cast a Holy Word Serenity and Solace is available. So between these two macros, what it allows you to do is just focus on using Premonition of Piety as a cooldown. So you'll press Premonition when you have Piety up, or you'll be pressing Premonition when you have Clairvoyance up. And what these allow you to do is not have to deal with these two, and you can only deal with the two main activated spells, Piety and Clairvoyance. And the last is similar to Serenity, it just uses Solace whenever you cast Power Word Life. Some people like Power Word Life. Okay, so there's one thing I wanted to go over that I didn't in the beginning of the guide. So the most important Weakaura that I have is the party cast spells. So you see right here on my frames, it's showing like these cooldown things, and what that does is when you're getting targeted by a spell or anybody in the group is getting targeted by a spell, is it shows you who's being casted on. So that allows you to like pre-cast a heal on that person while the spell is getting cast on them so that when the spell hits them, they instantly get healed. And the link to that is going to be in the description. Okay, so this is a first pull of Cinderbrew, which is a relatively challenging pull. So you see what I did there was I used Premonition of Insight, and then I used two Prayer of Mendings, and it looks like I uh, used a blue holy word. Like, it's okay. You don't have to use every premonition of insight on Prayer of Mending. It's okay to like screw up, and in this case, it wasn't really a screw up. It was I wanted to get I had to heal the tank because I wanted to save my Guardian Spirit, kind of for myself, but I also think it's not good to use Guardian Spirit on the tank on pull. I think it's nice to like have it for 10 seconds, 15 seconds into the pull when he runs out of cooldowns. So you see what's happening right now is they're casting this spell right here, and that's going to do group 8-wide AoE damage. So I try to get my damage spells out of the way, get my, you see I have my Chastise, my Holy Fire, and I'm casting another Holy Fire maybe. I cast that second Holy Fire, and I immediately popped Insight, or Premonition of Piety, right when that big AoE went off. So Piety's up on myself, and I'm casting Heal and Serenity. I even saved Guardian Spirit. Like, I really do like Guardian Spirit for on this first pull of Cinderbrew on myself, and I'm doing so much healing to the tank that hopefully they don't die. And that's why at the beginning of that pull, I tried to heal the tank a bunch so that he didn't need my Guardian Spirit. So yeah, we're just doing straight Piety healing right here, and shortly after Piety runs out, these people are doing big damage, so it doesn't look like I needed to use Apotheosis, but yeah, that's what I did. So I was over 3 million healing for a little while, and there's another Volatile Keg. I might use Apotheosis, so I used Apotheosis for the second Volatile Keg cast. And I still have Apotheosis up for doing damage, so it's right now Apotheosis is still active, so I'm just using it on doing damage right here. And yeah, so that's this clip. Okay, so now we're going to be going over like a pretty standard opening. So I did something a little bit non-standard, and I used Prayer of Mending before I got Inside off cooldown. That was maybe a mistake, but and it's gonna complicate what's going on in the next little bit. Like right now, I'm thinking, oh, okay, I gotta. So during this time, I was using Prayer of Mending, and I could have, instantly healed that paladin, but this is kind of a standard opener where you just use Insight and then use your holy words until they kind of are exhausted, and then shortly after this, I'm going to be using Apotheosis. So, like, my holy words are exhausted now. I Guardian Spirit the tank, and I just popped Apotheosis. So, because I exhausted my holy words, and I might lose a couple of seconds of Apotheosis time, but you know, during the opener, you really want to try to be getting all your holy fires out, using your Chastise, get holy fires out, and um, yeah, so you don't necessarily want to use Apotheosis right at the beginning of the poll. You want to wait till you exhaust all your holy words and go from there. Okay, so this next clip is a great example of how to prepare for very large damage. So this is the second boss of the first boss of Floodgate, and uh, he's about to use Kill a Blackberry. You see right here, Kill a Blackberry is happening in 1 second, so I used Divine Hymn right when Kill a Blackberry was going off, and it also the mobs died, and so he started casting Jumpstart, and I wasn't actually ready for the mobs to die, so I popped Premonition of Piety and went into some big healing. And I have 2 yellow holy words here and only had 1 blue holy word. So I know I just said in the guide, hey, don't use yellow holy words unless like you're at 60%, but I just broke the rule right there because Jumpstart was in the middle. I really needed to catch up, so I needed to catch up with the yellow holy word, and so that's what I did. And in the last like 2.5 seconds of that, you can start doing damage, but that's just an example of a pretty large overlap using Premonition of Piety. This is an example of healing the Warped Blood. So I used Apotheosis for this, and I ended up casting 2 yellow holy words in a row, which is kind of a no-no, but I was in Apotheosis, and you see I kind of had some poor renewed discipline. Like I only cast the Renew once during this pack, and he's about to cast his second Warp Blood, but I really wasn't too worried about it because he died in the middle of it, so there wasn't the entire absorption shield applied to the group. So now we're going up to the Blood Warper. I should be dropping a Light Well here, so I drop the Light Well, I get the Renew on the tank, and I maybe should have cast it on myself instead, but I cast it on the tank because Blood Warp is coming and I don't have Renew on myself, so I use Premonition of Piety, Flash Heal myself, and I really was just not really even considering Piety. Like, it was nice when I got the extra healing from it, but the Blood Warper in particular is one of the hardest mobs, and Piety doesn't always cover it. So, like, I had a lot of resources that I didn't need, like that I didn't use. I had the Apotheosis, I had the Guardian, I had Divine Hymn, and it turned out I didn't need them in that pack. Okay, so this is one of the hardest. Uh-oh. This is one of the hardest packs in the game. So what this is two waste processing units on top of each other, and they're gonna both be casting Mega Drill, like one after the other. So you see I have the healing absorbs. I used Guardian Spirit on top of Premonition, and I also used Premonition of Insight on myself. And like I just used Blue Holy Word on the tank there. So I just dropped my Light Well. I went into Apotheosis because they're about to cast Mega Drill again, and doing pretty decent. Um, but it was pretty tough. So I ended up losing someone. This is one of the hardest pulls in the game. So yeah, you can pause it and take a look at what my cast sequences were, but what I did was I used Premonition of Insight or Premonition of Piety plus Guardian Spirit plus Premonition of Solace on the first set of Mega Drill. Didn't lose anyone. People were pretty healthy. Second Mega Drill, all I had was Apotheosis. Uh, Looking back with hindsight, I should have used Apotheosis plus my uh, Priory Trinket, and I should, in between those sets of Mega Drills, what I should have done is cast Divine Hymn to make sure that for the second Mega Drill, I had the Divine Hymn buff on top of my Apotheosis. Okay, so this is Theater of Pain. It's the pack just before Gore Chop. This is one of the hardest packs in the game. Some groups they will pull this pack plus the big fat guy who's we're about to pull him in. So it's this big fat guy right here. So he gets pulled into, and he does ticking AoE damage on the group. So you see, I just cast Piety, Flash Heal, Guardian Spirit on myself. This is one of the pull packs in the game that I think I need Guardian Spirit to be able to keep up with the AoE healing. So I Guardian Spirit myself, use a Holy Word, a heal, Flash Heal, heal, Flash Heal, heal. And I'm saving this next Holy Word for when I need it. Use the Holy Word to top that Evoker. And I still was able to keep my yellow Holy Word for after that. I was kind of a little bit low on cooldowns for this. I didn't have Apotheosis. All I had was Premonition. I do have my trinket right here, which I didn't use, and I probably should have, but just going through this, trying to keep my abilities up, trying to keep the group up. Right now I have a Premonition of Shield, so what I did was, you see right there, it happened really fast, but I used my Premonition and then I instant healed. I'm getting pretty good at right when I use Premonition of Solace using instant heal, like I've got some pretty good muscle memory, so I use Solace and then I instantly go into that instant heal to get that shield on him. So right now this Warlock, you can't see the buff on his screen because he also has insurance on him, but he does have the Solace buff on him right now. So this is an example of one of the hardest trash packs in the game. Unfortunately, I don't have my healing per second showing at this time, uh, but I made it through without having to use Apotheosis until the very end. I probably should have used it a little sooner, but then again, it might not have been off cooldown. So we'll go to the next clip. Okay, so this is this is the mini boss in oops, mini boss in Priory of the Sacred Flame before the last boss. It's one of the harder healer checks, so Like, you see, I'm going into this pull with very low mana, and I opened the pull with Divine Hymn. Then I popped Apotheosis, and it looks like I'm going to try to ride that horse until it runs out of gas. And so, just doing typical Apotheosis things. Um, I am sitting on my yellow Holy Words, because I kind of wanted to save them for after Apotheosis ran out. And the next thing on the board is triple Premonition, so I cast a Premonition of Clairvoyance, then I cast a... I'm not following good discipline by using Renew on myself before, but is what it is. It looks like I'm going to try to get my when you cast Premonition of Clairvoyance, you also get Premonition of Insight. So you see I casted three Prayer of Mendings, and I'm about to get the fourth one off, probably. So four Prayer of Mendings, and at this point I'm out of mana, so I'm in pretty big trouble here. In terms of resources, I'm quite low. I could Symbol of Hope here. It looks like we're gonna Symbol of Hope. I did lose someone. He got, I think, beamed or something. I think he got holy fired, if I remember, by one of the mobs we just pulled in. But we were pretty low. Yeah, he got holy fired. So I'm running on fumes here. Symbol of Hope got me a little bit of stuff, but yeah, he got holy smited. So now I'm just casting Smite instead of Holy Nova because, and I chose the highest health target because, um, and I told them I'm ready. I can do this boss without mana, is what I told them. But luckily they were kind of cool. They let me drop combat, and I got a mage buff or mage potion off.